actually like this. Okay, sorry for the people that are watching this. I'd forgotten to turn this on because I'm redoing the thing. You'll have to listen to the audio podcast, and for the audio podcast, I'm very sorry that we're doing this again, but we're all caught up. So anyway, we're talking about the Super Bowl. Sorry that J-Lo and her fat, beautiful fucking ass makes you uncomfortable, Linda, because Jerry Sandusky raping little boys in the bathroom apparently is okay. But this is where you draw the line. Go sniff some fucking eucalyptus and get the fuck out of here. But it was interesting. So in case it's unclear, I stand with J-Lo. I'm with her. Shakira, I don't give a fuck about, so whatever. And not to say that you should get upset with her. I don't know if people were as upset with her because she didn't do the pole dancing, but I just don't really care. Also, who knew that Shakira and J-Lo were friends? I mean, I didn't even know that J-Lo was Puerto Rican. So clearly there's a lot that I'm not up on. Okay, so but I thought that was I thought that dovetailed. Oh, what a beautiful fucking word. Those, how there's that there's some guy author or something who said that the two most beautiful words in the English language, or the most beautiful sentence, was cellar door. Cellar door. I don't get it. I personally, I'm not saying it's the most beautiful. I personally love that word dovetail. Hold on. Oh God. What does it actually mean? I'm going to look it up. I mean, I know what it means. I know how I use it, but what if I've been using it wrong this whole time? Dovetail. It's like segue. A joint formed by one or more tapered projections on one piece. Boring. Okay, so I'm right. Basically, it's it brings it together. So, again, I'm just bragging now with my smarts. But I think that the J-Lo conversation dovetails quite nicely into something else I watched over the weekend, which was the Taylor Swift documentary, Miss Americana. And again, I'm not a big T-Swizzle fan. I'm not waiting with bated breath the eve before her new album comes out to refresh my Spotify at 12:01. Fuck, Kyle's coming home. Ugh, I'm gonna have to send him away. But anyway, so I watched the Miss Americana documentary, and I found it fascinating, despite not being a massive fan one way or the other, because I'm very distracted that he's coming home. He's going to ruin this, and I'm already plotting how do I get him out of here, because it's one thing for me to talk to you, and by you I mean me by myself, because that's basically what this is. There's 2 people that listen to this, but it's a very different thing to have an audience of one, and then he's going to do the thing of don't you want me to be a guest star? And it's no, I don't. I'm so sorry, but no. So I'm going to have to tell him to shower. Anyway, okay, so Taylor Swift, 2 things that really struck me about this documentary, and I do think it's worth watching because of these 2 reasons. Firstly, I'm sure if you're over the age of 18, you're going to remember when she won her VMA for Best Video of the Year, and Kanye West storms the stage to proclaim that Beyonce had the best video of the year. And I don't even know, TBH, don't know what song Taylor Swift won for. Was it I'm on the bleachers and she's on the bleachers, something love story. I don't know. Like I said, I'm a fair weather T Swift fan. I do, you know what? I can fucks with Shake It Off. That's a banger for sure. But anyway, I don't even remember what song she would have won for. I don't even remember what song Beyonce was up for, quite frankly. Unless you're Lady Gaga, I'm not keeping up with your track record, literally. So what we learn in that documentary, and maybe it was more obvious to other people than it was to me, is that really fucked with her head. And to make it worse, so not only was she interrupted by this guy who she was up to that point a big fan of herself, because he was pretty epic, continues to be, but for very different reasons. But as he walked off the stage, everyone in the audience starts to boo him, because that's what you do to an asshole. So she's on stage, she's just been accosted, and and then the whole auditorium of all these celebrities, the biggest names in music, are booing, and she thinks they're booing her. And as you would imagine, it fucked with her psyche for a very long time, actually. Because I think at the time she's like 21, 22. I mean, she's young. Like, it's enough. And she wasn't famous for that long up to that point. Okay, hold. Okay, and we're back. So she was very affected by that experience. And yeah, it's fine. You can wash your hands. That's fine. I don't think the mic will pick that up too bad. So she's super affected by this experience of being what she thinks is booed on the stage. And it sends her in a tailspin, right? And then at the same time or thereabouts, she starts talking about an issue she had with an eating disorder, which, again, as a very, like, not Taylor Swift fan, I didn't know about. I always thought, I was like, damn, that bitch is skinny. Like, hashtag lucky. But, you know, a lot of celebrities are thin, and you never know. Some people could be, and maybe other people are forcing it. In her case, she was actually forcing it. And so she starts talking about how there's so much pressure. It's not like she's the first person to ever say this, of course, but like in the industry, in the entertainment industry, all the pressure to be thin enough that like you have a flat stomach, but you have to have enough fat on you to have an ass, and you kind of can't have a flat stomach if you have a flat ass, and all this stuff, and how it's like you kind of are damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type of thing. All right, now you are making more noise. I thought you were going to be gone for like 30 minutes. Ugh. Okay. So, oh my gosh. This is why I don't like to do the podcast when Kyle is around, because I know he's going to just like inject himself however he fucking damn well pleases.
Hi!
Okay, so she talks about that, but then toward the end of the movie, so Taylor Swift is 30. I am 35, but actually I'm 35 and a half. I turned 36 in 5 months and a day. Yeah, so that's coming up, and TBH, it is fucking with my mind. This is where you have to leave. So anyway, God. So it is actually like really taking its toll on me, like emotionally, and not physically, because physically I feel great actually, but it's just like mentally occurring to me that I'm gonna officially be in my late 30s soon. Like, that's crazy. I will be closer to 40 than 30, and that's fucking insane. I feel I'm very youthful. Hey, I am the most youthful 18-year-old there is. I still feel like and I still think I look like I'm 27, you know, which is a great age. It's a perfect age. You've got a frontal lobe that's fully formed and functioning. You are a little further in your career than being purely entry level. You haven't been through like that first wave of when your metabolism really sinks and drops because you're closer to death. It's just still like kind of running along like you're in your mid early 20s. And everything's great. Everything's great. 27 is such a good year. So I still feel like I can pass for that. And like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I definitely have been mistaken for being like that. Although I'll tell you what, lately I don't get carded. Now, I don't know if I should take that personally. I don't remember what the age range is where they're like, if you look at least this age, you don't have to be carded. But whatever it is, I'm trying not to read too much into it. Everyone's different. But regardless, I think I look fairly youthful. I've taken very good care of myself. I too, like J-Lo, douche with Bitcoin, so that helps. But nevertheless, it does occur to me, like, I had all of these, I still do have these ambitions of like what I'm going to do when I grow up, or what's my job going to be, or like how do I leave my mark on the world. And for me, you know, I know some people look at like having children as their legacy, you know, and that's great. That's fine. That works for some people. For me, no, not so much. I mean, I'm sure it's wonderful and lovely, and I'm sure that's a way to do it. But let's face it, most people's children are going to grow up to be perfectly fucking average. And like, I'm not trying to leave an average legacy. You know what I mean? Like, even if your kid's a murderer, at least that leaves a legacy of some kind behind, versus like, you know, you raised your child David to be an accountant. who gives a fuck, you know? So I still, at this point in my life, I'm like, okay, what's my legacy? What's my purpose? How do I leave my mark? Like, that matters to me, and it always has. And what I know about myself for sure, as Oprah would say, because, you know, we're like basically the same person. What I know for sure is I am definitely meant to entertain people. And I've always known that. You know, I loved to perform when I was a kid, and I always thought I would be an actor. That was like my thing. I was going to be an actress my whole life. I was going to make a name for myself. Thank God I didn't try to go that route. Not only would there have been zero money in it, at least until I made my big break, you know. But also, at this point in my life, I don't think I could say other people's words. I clearly am a loose cannon. And I can't be trusted. So I think I would have really struggled with that. And if you've listened to episode 1, you'll know about my history with being writing. And I just don't like to be edited, you know? So I also don't like the idea of someone else having to do my makeup or my hair. Because despite how I may look right now, I actually do a great job at both of those things. What was it that we were talking about? And by we, I mean me, monologuing to no one. But all that said, like, I am still trying to figure out what is it that for me will make me feel as though I've accomplished a purpose in my life, you know? Because my job right now, you know, that's not it. I know that's not it. Maybe it's helping me get on that path, but that's not it. I'm not going to do that forever, you know? But sometimes I'm like, wait a second. So Taylor Swift was talking in the documentary about how, as a woman in entertainment especially, you sort of have a shelf life. And come 35, like that's a bit of a precipice. And it's usually, for a lot of women anyway, apparently not great. That's kind of like it. You're yesterday's news. You are, you're a has-been, is kind of what she makes it sound like, or what she's maybe scared of or feels like, you know? And really, so I told you this is my second recording of this podcast, and I actually had mentioned this in the last one, and I was like struggling to come up with really prolific female singer-songwriters over the age of 35. That doesn't mean they don't exist. I'm not like this extraordinary music buff who can tell you. Like, Lady Gaga's obviously not going anywhere. That bitch won a fucking Oscar. You know, she got more Grammys than I don't know, what's a good, like, than Jenna Jameson has sex toys. I don't know why that's the first thing that came to mind, but okay. By the way, have you seen her recently? Like, I admittedly haven't seen her recently, but apparently, like, there was a point at which she didn't look the same. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about Jenna Jameson, but what I do know is there was a point at which she was a big fucking deal, and, like, you know, had these like massive boobs, massive silicone implants on her tiny little twig body, her Taylor Swift body, and her Anna Nicole Smith titties. But anyway, she got fat, and brown, and dyed her hair brown. And that's the most tragic part, you know? Anyway, where were we? Over the age of 35. So Lady Gaga's not going anywhere, but, you know, you wonder, like, I don't know. Frankly, I don't think Taylor Swift is going anywhere. She's just been around so fucking long. But anyway, it just was, she was having this like existential moment, and recognizing what her opportunities are here and now, and trying to just like milk the shit out of that before she is told it's no longer a thing, that people don't want to hear her anymore, you know? Which is both really awesome, good for her, and like trying to get a solid foundation of like, this is my belief system, and also I want to make fucking hit record after hit record and clean the fuck up. Did you know she is worth like $400 million? Talk about someone who is douching with Bitcoin. Like, she is so fucking rich that she would never have to write another song. But see, this is how you know when, I mean, not always. Some people are just really greedy motherfuckers. But I really do think with certain people, when they just keep going, it's like, it's not even about money. It's not. It's because it's their passion. It's their purpose. And she's found it. And it really feeds her soul to write music, which I think is true of most songwriters. Like, I don't know shit about writing a song. Can barely write my name on an envelope, you know? But, it's apparently like it just flows out of them like lava. And so no matter how wealthy she is, that's still going to be the driving force for her. So to make it about me again, I am absolutely in this point where I'm like, like I'm having a moment. Maybe a metamorphosis would probably be reaching a little bit, but like, we're definitely in some type of, I don't know, evolution, transitionary phase or something, because I'm still trying to like tap into the stuff that really makes me feel like I am fulfilling my purpose before I get too old, and I hate to say that because I actually don't believe in that. I believe that it's never too late. You're never too old. I'm looking at people who are defying what it means to be 50 or fucking even 60. Have you seen Christy Brinkley? And don't even get me started on Jane Fonda. I mean, shit, I would have sex with Jane Fonda. She's in her 80s. It's insane. It just age is a number, and age is a mindset too. For sure. And thank God I'm perpetually 12 years old, So like basically I'm JoJo Siwa, who 100%, that's not a teenager. She's a 40-year-old woman. She lives in Long Island. She's got 3 kids, an ex-husband, and like a Shar-Pei that she never leaves the house without. She is fooling all of us, and good for her. And how do I get on that train? So it's definitely in my head though, like me thinking maybe my best years are behind me. Maybe I'm as attractive as I'm ever going to have been, and those days are gone too. Like I'm not cute. I'm not good looking anymore. I don't have any more achievements to earn. And like, I don't believe that of other people that I know, but why am I feeling like that about myself? Like that's where fucking ego, man. It's all fucked up. None of it makes sense. There's no time isn't real. This is just a mirage, none of this doesn't exist. It's just, now we're getting in a really crazy, deep, dark place. Let's level up a little bit. Let's get a little lighter. Oof. But that's, yeah, I thought it was all very timely, very like coincidental, all this talk of what it is to be a woman and your age and what's appropriate. And to that I say, go fuck yourself and just do whatever you want. And oh, by the way, Karen in, Wisconsin, don't let the television raise your fucking children, okay? If you turn to the TV, i.e. a piece of furniture, to teach family values or endorse your family values, then you might as well sit little Timmy down in front of the ottoman and have it explain where babies come from, because it's the same fucking thing. So do your job, be a parent, set boundaries, have open conversations, accept your fucking kids, and then J-Lo spinning around looking like a goddamn snack on a stripper pole on Super Bowl Sunday will be nothing more than just great TV and a vision of aspiration. And with that, I think it's time for a little commercial merch. Okay, so hold on. Where did my list go? I took a couple notes on things I was like, oh, here we go. Yeah. Okay. So for today, I wanted to, hold on, I've got to get the video going again. Yeah, where are we? We're at 30 minutes? Okay. So I was actually going to talk a little bit about fitness today. After all this, this is a prestigious wellness and health podcast, obviously. But I want to table it because I just kind of want to keep going and talking about the random shit in my brain right now. So one of the things there's 2 things that have happened in the last week that I wanted to talk about because it kind of fit into an overarching idea that I think is important. So one thing was neighbors across the street are building a pool. And if you follow me on Instagram, you've already heard me go on about this. But basically, so we were the first, we were actually the second home to move in on our street. So we live in a neighborhood where they're still even building houses as we speak. But like our street's officially finished as of a few months ago. But we moved in about a year and a half ago. So we were the second family to move in on the street. And that means that our lives sucked ass while they continued to put up all the other houses on our street for another year and a half. And we had to deal with everything from construction and hammers banging before 7 a.m. on a Saturday to lights being left on and blinding us at nighttime, 18-wheelers and cement trucks blocking our driveways or the entire roadway. I got a flat tire, I'm going to assume, from nails in the road at some point. Like, we've been through it. We fucking paid our dues. It is over. It's done. Homes are up. Goodbye. Let's move on with it. Well, these people across the street moved in about 3 months ago. They were the last people to move in, last house to be finished, thank God. And then, I'm thinking, okay, great, thank God. And it's been nice. It's been nice. I haven't had to worry about trucks parked on the road or blocking things. Like, I've been able to get to my mailbox. I wouldn't even say it's been wonderful. It's been what you should expect out of your residence. So, because if you've ever lived in new construction, you know what I'm talking about. Like, it's just it's unpleasant, So to be able to just like live without all that tumult is really refreshing. So then last week, before 7 a.m., you could imagine my surprise and, quite frankly, fucking anger when I was awoken from my slumber by like this low frequency buzzing, humming, and ground shaking in my house. So aside from a random earthquake that came through DC several years ago, before 2013, 2008 maybe? It was random, it was weird, I don't know, but it was fucking scary. Besides that, I have never experienced an earthquake in my life, but for a fleeting moment, I was like, this is it, it's end of days, the apocalypse is now, gird your loins, where are my guns? Oh wait, I don't have any, I'm terrible at this, the zombies are coming and I'm dead. Thought it was end times because there was an earthquake happening right here in Houston, Texas. Well, I'm happy to report that's not the case, and more angry to report that no, it was just the cement truck at my neighbor's house pouring the pit for their fucking pool in January. So that was annoying. And yes, you bet your ass I did go out there and yell at some people. I was on my way. So inevitably I had to leave the house. I was going to my workout. But as I pulled out of my driveway, I pull up to the project manager sitting in his truck and I'm like, excuse me. And we rolled down our windows like a fucking Grey Poupon commercial. But instead of asking him for his Grey Poupon, I basically just yelled at him. And I was like, look, you're not allowed to start work or construction before 7 a.m. And like, I don't know if that's exactly true, but what I know for sure is that the homeowners association does have a policy around start time. And I fucking guarantee you that start time doesn't have a 6 in front of it. So if it's not 7 a.m., it's 8 a.m., which is even more egregious, But like one way or the other, I said to him, you are not allowed to start working before 7 a.m. and I'm going to report these homeowners to the homeowners association. And he was like, okay, I'm so sorry. This is, we should only be here today. Sorry about that. And I was like, and I just like stared and then I drove off. Well, that was at like 7 a.m. Well, fast forward to 7:30 p.m. that night. And then we're eating dinner, and our door rings. And because I am a child of the 90s, and I grew up in a Jean-Benet Ramsey era, Menendez brother upbringing, if you will. I know one thing. I know this. God, I got to stop saying I know one thing for sure. Here's the thing. When your doorbell rings at night, it's a murderer. And that's it. That's just it. So I know that as a fact, which is why I don't fucking answer my doorbell, because I'm not an idiot. But what I do is I pull up my app, my like home security app, and I look to see who's standing out there at 7:30 p.m. Oh, by the way, it's pitch black outside because it's dark at like 6 p.m. We're still in daylight savings or not, or what is it? Daylight savings or daylight standard? Who the fuck knows? It's all made up. Like I said, time isn't real. This is the Matrix. But anyhow, these two people, man and woman, looking like a normal, regular couple, standing on the doorstep, and like immediately I know who it is. Even though I don't know these people, I know who it is immediately. But I didn't tell Kyle about what had happened because partly because he's kind of like, over my shit, but then also because I had forgotten. I was just like, that's part of my day. That's just like a thing that happened, and I bitched about it on Instagram, and then I went on with the rest of my day. But anyway, as soon as I saw them, I'm like, oh, I bet these are those people. And so indeed it was. And I eventually made my way over when Kyle was like very confused about why they would come over to apologize. And so I saunter on over, and they're like, so sorry. We had no idea they would be there that early. They told us and I was like, here's the thing. When someone is coming to you to discuss something you said or what you did, what you don't want to do is immediately back down or acquiesce. Now, it's very different if you're like, oh yeah, I've had a change of heart, or you don't have to go in hot. But what you don't want to do is play down what really bothered you. And too many people do that, act like, oh, it's not a big deal, I overreacted. If you did, then fine, own it. But like, if you didn't, then you need to just stand firm in what you did and what you said. And that's different than like continuing to be an asshole or straight up just being an asshole. But like, don't act like it was a mistake or misunderstanding or you're not that upset. Like, fucking own your shit. And that's what I did. So they were like, oh my gosh, we're putting in a pool. And they told us they would come between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. And I thought, why would they ever come at 6 a.m.? They'll never get there that early, but they did. They were there right on the dot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Yeah. So I just reminded them that the policy is you can't start construction before 7 a.m. And your project manager did tell me that it's only today, so it doesn't seem like we'll have another issue. But just so that you know, make sure no one ever comes to work on your home before 7 a.m. And then she was like, well, there was rain, so they are going to be coming back tomorrow. But I told them don't come a moment before 7 a.m. And I was like, okay. But also, here's the deal. And then I proceeded to explain to her about the tumult that we lived in for a year and a half before these fucking people. It's like, I fucking made this road for you. I made this neighborhood. This neighborhood didn't exist for you until we moved in. Like, you should be grateful. Get me an edible arrangement stat to thank me for experiencing the strife that is living in a new construction neighborhood before you got here 8 weeks ago and never had to worry about it. Get mad all over again thinking about that. But point is, I wasn't rude to her by any means, and I wasn't shitty. In fact, I spoke to her very matter-of-factly, and I was just like, oh yeah, see, I'm the worst. I'm a bitch as a neighbor. I would hate to live next, because that's true. I would hate to live next to me, But then again, I wouldn't really need to hate living next to me because I'm not inconsiderate. I don't do assholey things to be concerned that I'm, infringing on my neighbor's right to live in a peaceful home. So I guess I wouldn't be that scared of me. But I said that. I was like, oh, I would hate to live next to me. I'm awful because I've had issues with these people, and it was the people right next door, the ones that let their fucking dogs out, and that happened all weekend long. They just run around in people's yards shitting with no leash, and nobody comes and gets them. They were locked out of their houses. Awful. But I was just like, I explained to them, we've been through it, and I would like to not be woken up. When I have to 2 times a week wake up at 4:45 in the morning, what I don't want to do on one of the days I don't have to do that is be awoken before 6 a.m. Like, rude as fuck, So I just laid that out for her. I was like, yeah, I did say that. And oh, by the way, I'm going to remind you one more time right here, right now. Thank you for apologizing. Appreciate it. But also, you've been warned, Like, if you do more shit like this, more shit is going to come. And, the husband and this wife, they just kind of stood on the porch, mouths and eyes agape, looking at me a little bit in horror and shock, but that's fine. Like, to be expected, and totally fine with that, quite frankly. And then they left, and that was that. And then Kyle was like, wants to give me his perspective that I didn't ask for, which is basically that he thinks I came off like kind of scary, like that they might be scared of me. And I said, good. I hope so. That's exactly what I want. That is a great outcome. And quite frankly, I wish more people felt that way about me. Maybe they do. I don't know. But I thought that was a great outcome and more than I could have hoped for. I hope that when people do things that are inconsiderate of other people and infringe on their right to be peaceful, I hope that they will now take measures to put themselves out and be uncomfortable themselves so that they don't have to interact with me. I think that's great. And honestly, that's a win-win for everyone. I win, they win because they don't have to deal with me. Everyone wins. So that was one thing. The other thing that happened was the other day I went to Target and there was this mom Oh my God. And she had these two twin boys. They must have been 4 or 5, old enough that they could talk and communicate their thoughts and their feelings, but young enough that they still needed discipline. And this mom was not so stressed or like unkempt that she couldn't just meander the aisles of the Valentine's Day section at Target, because that's exactly what she was doing when I happened upon her. And her two boys were, just being like little kids. They weren't super inappropriate, but they were definitely getting a little rowdy. They were just, whatever, kind of being in the way. But like, fine, don't really care. But then I hear one of the little boys literally say to his mom, "I want to go now. Can we leave?" And so to me, I'm like, wow, that's pretty astute of this child before he starts having a fucking meltdown to acknowledge, like, it's time to go, Because if that woman is anything like me, she'd probably been there for an hour and a half, and was about to spend several $100s on a bunch of bullshit she didn't need when she went in for hand soap. That's neither here nor there. So this kid's like, let's go. And so she does. We're on the same track, roughly. She gets in the line, the self-checkout line before me. And this is where it took a turn. Now her demon spawn are at the bottom of the cart. You know that part where it's like flatbed kind of? The two children are in there laying down and they're just roughhousing. They're fucking throwing down like it's the WWE SmackDown tournament. They're screaming, they're wailing, they're being physical, they're shoving each other, they're pulling each other's hair, pulling on their clothes, and just, I'm not kidding, screaming. Not the occasional yell, literally screaming. Meanwhile, mom is living in her own little bubble. I don't know if she was medicated to the hilt, if she's like been doing a little of the oxy or whatever it is that makes you totally checked out of reality. Mom was so unbothered. How unbothered was she? Like, she could be giving a master class in the art of meditation, because she didn't even look sideways at her children. There was no attempt to discipline them. There was not a whisper uttered. In fact, and it wasn't just me like overreacting and being like, oh, her kids were misbehaving and I'm so grumpy. It was like, no. Every single person that was there was looking at her like with angry eyes. You know that thing where people on the airplane with like a baby and the baby starts crying and then everybody's like looking over their shoulder and then makes the poor mom feel bad. And it's like, that's a baby. You don't know, like the baby cries. That's what babies do. Baby's in an airplane and its ears are popping and it's like canned in like a sardine. It's flying economy, and my God, who wouldn't cry for that reason? So you can't make a person feel bad because their baby is crying, because that's it. But this is like, they're practically adults. They're practically moving out and getting their own apartment. They're about to get their first 401k plan. Like, they are old enough and in a position where she should be disciplining them. And the fact that she said nothing, y'all, I just need you to understand. She didn't say anything. She didn't look at them. She didn't grab their hand. No, stop it. Nothing. And it was disgusting, quite frankly. Either the woman is, and see, here's the thing. I don't really think there's a good excuse for her. I just don't. You could sit there and be like, well, it's really hard to be a mom and she has two twin boys. Well, then all the fucking more reason for her to have a system in place for discipline or to be an authority figure. Like, parenting doesn't happen when you're at Target buying Valentine's Day cards. It happens every fucking damn day for all 4.5 or 5 years of these children's lives. Like, putting the rigor and the structure in so that when they go out in public, they don't fucking act like, convicts that just got out for probation. They should have some structure. Even the woman that was working the self-checkout line at Target was trying to like intervene and like calm these boys down. It was a thing. And I kept having this like inner conflict with myself of like, oh, I want to say something, because there are times where it's completely out of line to say something, like get your kid in line or whatever, just like with your baby crying. You can't do much about that. Or if a parent is really trying and their hands are full and like, or whatever, that's inappropriate. But when someone's doing jack shit nothing and the entire fucking store is like offended, to me, it seems like it's appropriate to say something. Now, here's where I think I'm going to surprise you. A little curveball. I didn't say anything, and I really regret it. I wish I had. I had this inner conflict of should I or shouldn't I say, the world is full of enough shitbags. Please don't raise more. But, I didn't say it. And I think I didn't say it because really what was problematic with that sentence was that the world's full of shitbags. I think that's where I started to really dance around the periphery of this is not the best approach. But I really did go back and forth. But in retrospect, I should have said something. Maybe I could have altered shitbags and said something like, look, the world is full of enough people that don't respect authority. Don't raise more, I like that approach. I like that framework. It's like a sound bite. It's like a Real Housewives tagline. So it's really catchy. I think she would have remembered it. But I just, I didn't do it. And the Larry David in me is disappointed. So, but I bring up those two stories because also a few days ago, all of this stuff happened within the last 5 days or so. So I was ranting and raving about the pool situation on the Instagram. By the way, all that noise you hear in the background is Kyle eating at the trough, his post-workout snack of plantain chips and whatever else he can find in the refrigerator, apparently. I got a message after I had ranted and raved on my Instagram about the pool situation. This girl reached out to me a few days later telling me about how I had given her, hold on, where's my phone? I'm going to read it. It's fine because it's pretty scrubbed of any identifying information. And I don't think she sent it. I don't know. I don't think she's going to mind, and I'm not going to use her info. Let's see. Just hold. Okay, here we go. So this is what she said to me. And it just made my day. She goes, thank you. Oh, wait, she was mentioning to me, here it is. This was last Wednesday. Initially, she said, I just want to say that I love how not afraid of confrontation you are, or how you aren't afraid to be that bitch. I'm not. She's right. I am so non-confrontational that people tend to run all over me. It's something I'm actively working on. I agree with so much of your stories and opinions, and sometimes listening to you makes me think, yeah, I could totally be like her. Let me be like her. Okay, this is where I'm going to interject a little editorializing. Don't be like me, because I'm the worst, but you can learn a few lessons from me. And then she goes on, I mean all of this in the most sincere and loving way possible. Watching you gives me a bit of confidence, even if it's just a teensy bit, that I can be more of the good bitch. And I loved that. And so I went on to say to her, I was like, thank you so much. And then I said, I think comfort with your confrontation or standing strong in your frustration or your anger without diluting it because you don't want to come off a certain way has gotten such a bad rap. And this I stand by. It's like everybody's now being overly sensitive and, protective of everyone's feelings and all that. And look, I am a sensitive person, which you may not be able to pick up on that, but I am. I am very in tune with how people feel, and that does matter to me. But especially with people who I don't give a fuck about, and we're just trying to get some shit accomplished. There's nothing wrong with being comfortable addressing a problem in a very direct way. And people want to call that confrontation. That's not what I consider it. Confrontation is people who want to stir up shit, for the sake of stirring it up. That's not what it's about for me. I'm not going to confront my friend at their workplace or at a party, Real Housewives style. That's not my jam. But if someone's doing something that is fundamentally wrong, then yes, 100% say something, address it, and get it done, because it's not bad. To me, it's one of the nicest, most productive things you can do to address a problem. But anyway, so I went on to say some shit about that. And then the next night, little 24 hours later, she goes, thank you for this response. Thank you for all. These words were all I had in my head and needed when last night I was faced with either shrinking in the background like I usually do or standing up for myself. And I stood up for myself. I know that sounds so weird to say and be excited about, but if I could change anything about myself, it would be my constant fear of confrontation. I want to be a strong woman and a strong mom. Oh, it's so sweet. And a strong person who can stand up for herself. And last night I did it. And all I could think of was you in a very non-creepy way. And I love that. That's fine. Think of me in a creepy way. I'm into that too. And I freaking did it. And it's not even something huge or life-changing, but it was something important, and I was so proud of myself afterwards. I usually just cave, and I always hate myself later. I think, why can't I just say this or say that? Anyway, the whole point is to thank you, blah, blah, blah. And she goes on to say really nice things about me. I won't bore you with that. But that is exactly what I'm trying to say, okay? My style may not be your style, but it's not about the style. It's about the point and the message. And the point and the message is, don't let people walk all over you. Don't let people take advantage of you. Don't let people fucking bring contractors in to pour a cement hole in their yard at 6 a.m, waking you up. Or maybe you have a baby that's trying to sleep. Like, whatever. Don't fucking let that shit happen. Because if you let it happen once, it's going to happen a second time, and then a third, and then all of a sudden, it's forever. So nip it in the bud. Don't be afraid of a moment of discomfort for a lifetime of relief. Wow, that is prolific stuff, huh? That's it. Wow. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. There were a few other things I wanted to talk about, but I'll leave it at that. I think that's good. I like that message. Good for me. Good for you for choosing to listen to this life-changing podcast. That's right, bitches. We are changing lives. So if you liked this podcast, or if you hated it, feel free to subscribe anyway, rate, review, like on the YouTube. I don't know how, do all those things. And also, why don't you today think of a friend who would enjoy this bullshit and let them know it exists, and then have them do the same. That would be wonderful, because the more of you that follow and listen, the more likely I am to get real sponsors with real discount codes and things that you want, because that's why this exists. I'm douching with Bitcoin, but I'll run out any day now, so mama's got to make a buck. Anyway, that's it. That's all. That's right, bitches. Bye.